And just trying to see. Oh, here we go. All right, so now okay. Board B. All right, so we should be live.
Okay.
Let me just double check. Double check. Okay, we are. All right. So we are live. This is my first time actually using this platform. So thank you all for bearing with me. I tried to make sure that we were prompt and on time. I want to first of all thank, this is my Councilwoman Stephanie Gordon in Ward D in the city of East Point. And I thought it was a great idea to invite her to come on Facebook Live and share some recent updates that, as it relates to recent events at the Camp Creek business area, also known as the marketplace, Camp Creek Marketplace area. And I think it's well overdue, but I also wanted you all to know that since last year, Councilwoman Marcy Overstreet, as you know, that area is shared with East Point and the city of Atlanta. Councilwoman Marcy Overstreet, I reached out and said, hey, can we create a joint task force? And these ladies obliged. Councilwoman Overstreet has been, along with Councilwoman Stephanie Gordon, they have been spearheading some meetings that have been heavily attended by some other very important people in the community, such as Major Tyus, if I'm not mistaken, and he is with the Atlanta Police Department. Reginald Russian, who's with the NPU in the city of Atlanta. Eshe Collins, which is a school board member from Atlanta Public Schools, along with Francesca Warren, who is the Fulton County School Board member in our area. I did mention Reginald Russian and Jamila Gibbs, and some others have attended, along with, last but not least, our newly elected sheriff, Patrick Labatt, has attended these meetings. So we didn't want you all to think that nothing was happening. There have been subsequent meetings. Change takes time. So as much as we have tried to work very hard to alleviate what occurred this past weekend, just know that what will be shared tonight is one step towards that progress that we've all been seeking, which is eliminating the huge presence of unsupervised teens in that shopping area so that A, they can be safe, B, we're in a pandemic. That probably should have been A. A, we're in a pandemic. B, we really want the teens to be safe. Thirdly, we want patrons to be safe, and we want everyone who's shopping in the area to have a positive shopping experience. And so tonight, I've invited Councilwoman Stephanie Gordon. Councilwoman Marcy Overstreet could not join us tonight, but this is just preliminary. I'm sure I'll be able to get them back on together to give you all other subsequent updates. But without further ado, I wanted to start it out, Councilwoman Gordon, with you sharing, based on our last meeting, which was actually in this January, so it was in December, what events have evolved or what's come out of that meeting, and what can you share with us and the public right now?
Thank you, Mrs. Daphne Jordan. First of all, I want to just again, let you know how much we appreciate you always being an advocate for every sector of our communities, but also for standing politically adjacent with us, even in terms of law enforcement. Those are two of your big um, initiatives, and we want to thank you for that. And I also would like to say thank you to Councilwoman Marcy Overstreet, who we both heeded your husband's call to action in recent months, and we're just thankful for this platform. So, um, in our most recent meetings, we were trying to decide what is the best plan of action to just mitigate the issues altogether. For many years, as Mrs. Jordan will let you know, she has called us to let us know that team gatherings were an issue before they became subject to what we're experiencing now with fights and other types of violent activity. So, in recent months, we decided that because this is private property, that the primary management companies on those properties should do something. So we found some synergy between the Atlanta side and the East Point side of the marketplace area to come together and to create a policy. And again, this policy is promoted by the management companies. It is not an East Point City ordinance. It is not an Atlanta ordinance. But with this policy being created, it provides an outlet for enforcement, and that is the missing piece. That is something that police agencies have wanted, and what is needed. So we can discuss a few of those tenets when you're ready, but that is the primary goal that has recently evolved out of our meetings. And we look forward to the implementation of this policy in coming days.
And before you go into the policy, let's just bring the public up to speed as to why this hasn't been a clear cut, dry process. This isn't as clear cut and dry as if it was my home and I can make any decision on my own property. What's been very convoluted and confusing for a lot of people is this area, the businesses are owned by, in some cases, different owners, right? And it's considered private property. So without going into too many details for the sake of time, this has been our biggest challenge. Would you say that this has been, I would say, the number one challenge is collaborating with the five, six, seven, maybe eight different business owners, property owners, to get a meeting of the minds. And that has actually been done right now.
Absolutely. As you stated, there are two primary property management companies that manage the vast majority of the businesses at the commercial shopping center district. However, there are a number of out parcels, separate owners. Lowe's is an ownership within its own. But we were committed, this group was committed to making sure that we had the collaboration with everyone. So we started with the primary property management companies because they do entail and encompass the vast majority of the businesses that are there. There's some scattering around. It's, the borders between cities. It is quite convoluted, but we were committed. This group was committed to making sure that that synergy was created.
Okay. So without further ado, I guess we do want to just make this disclaimer. This policy belongs to these businesses. It is not one that belongs to each individual city.
Right.
So it's very important to understand that that's what gives permission for enforcement and in a uniform manner. That's been the missing link. And unless you understand the law, and that's what we're trying to get you all up to speed with, it takes this type of negotiation, policy enforcement in order for whatever happens on the Atlanta side can happen and occur on the East Point side. Prior to this, as we saw this weekend, things were happening on one side and things were also happening on another side. What we have been seeking is uniformity, a joint jurisdiction policy. And that is, in fact, now what brings solidarity across the businesses, so that no matter where you are, as Councilwoman Gordon reads through this, it will make more sense as to why this has been something that I know I've been advocating for this, oh God, for so long. And I'm just glad that we're here. So I'll let you take it from here.
Okay. So, without going into the full extent of the policy, I'd like to excerpt and highlight the strongest tenets of the policy. So, first and foremost, the policy, let me just be clear. This policy is designed to promote family friendly, safe, and enjoyable dining, entertainment, and shopping. So we don't want to come so forceful in a manner that we're just here to attack and punish. That is not the goal here. The goal is to find some peace and balance and primarily promoting safety at this juncture because something has to be done. So, digging into it, the first tenet, and I'll just read it briefly, is visitors under 18 years of age are required to be accompanied by a parent's guardian, or supervising adult, effective daily at 7 o'clock p.m. Youth under age 18 are not allowed to be unescorted or dropped off at Camp Creek commercial shopping centers, including restaurants, retail stores, parking lots, and a movie theater, effective daily at 7 p.m. And I can keep going. I don't know if you wanted to comment, but accompanied youth must remain with the parent, guardian, or a supervising adult at all times. The parent or guardian will be accountable for the actions of any youth found in violation of the policy. I think it is also relative and important to state that we understand that there are youth who are employed by establishments at the marketplace. So
Right.
they are not required to be escorted if after the 7 p.m. Time has occurred. However, though, if they are under that age range and or age of 18 and they are getting off from work after 7 p.m., we are asking that they just please immediately leave the property so that they are not in violation of the policy. I'm not sure if there was any more. Know we wanted to hit maybe three.
Right.
Was there another that you felt we should
Whichever
address?
three, well, I think the and the proof of age, how that will be determined, I think is very helpful.
Absolutely. So let me get this pulled up. So proof of age. If it is difficult to determine the age of the youth or a parent or guardian, then we are providing examples of proof of age, and that would be a valid driver's license, a school or college ID, a passport or visa, but anything that, or even a military ID, so, but something that states your name, um, perhaps the year you were born. And
Right.
that way we can determine, or it can be determined, not me, of course, but it can be determined your age. Is sufficient and in compliance with the policy.
Right. And so I'm hoping that those of you that have made comments, I'm trying to kind of read through some of these. We're not able to actually engage in comments tonight, but what I hear this all the time. Parents should be responsible. What does that look like? So we first have to have a policy that can be put in place that can ultimately be enforced. That's where we are right now. If you're wondering, well, why hasn't that occurred before now? That's exactly what was needed. A meeting of the minds for the businesses to agree to a policy that can be enforced on their property, right? So I want you all to understand it take away the whole feeling of parents need to be responsible. That is stating the obvious. We all agree parents should be responsible. More importantly, during a pandemic, um, that's my bigger concern, Councilwoman, because last night Walter and I were there. We were just going to Lowe's, ironically, and we saw, I know, youth that were 10, maybe 11 years old, walking around with no mask on. It was very dark. The other reason why this is important, and this should help parents be more responsible, or understand why they should be responsible and held accountable, is there are several hotels around these areas, and you all know how high human sex trafficking is in our communities. And so is this is very necessary, it's very needed. It is something that has to be in place to help parents understand after 7 o'clock, you're responsible for your kids. Okay. Then comes enforcement. So here's the policy. Then comes enforcement. We'll have to come back at another time and let you all know what becomes of that. But you can't enforce without policy. That is why you elect your council people. This is why they're so important. They are policy makers. And so, yes, we know that parents should be held accountable, but what does that look like? And you can't just say to the police officers prior to this policy, oh, you need to make parents accountable. It doesn't work that way. So now with the policy, that is actually what I also want to mention that mirrors the policy at the movie theater, because just also kind of backing up a bit, for those of you that aren't aware, who are responsible parents, and you're not just dropping your kids off or you're letting your kids catch Uber to the area, and or they're catching MARTA. Okay, so not talking to those parents, but for those who want to know how do we get here, we have those parents that are in fact letting their kids do this on the weekend, catch Uber, MARTA, and or they're dropping them off at the movie theater. This always begins at the movie theater on the Atlanta side. Well, that movie theater has this exact same policy. So now everyone is on the same page. After 7 o'clock, these kids are asked to leave. Whether your child buys a ticket at 6:30 or whatever the time is, they are asked to leave if they are not accompanied with an adult. So what that has created, to me, in my opinion, is pandemonium. I mean, these kids are now, they're just roaming around. They leave from there, they go over to Jason's Deli, which is still on the Atlanta side, and somehow they end up on the East Point side. So this is why having a joint policy, one that mirrors where it all begins, will help with enforcement. We're not going into details about that today, but this is one where business owners have come together and said this policy, which belongs to them, can be used to help police provide and improve safety for everyone involved, which means that now parents can be held accountable. There was nothing ever in place to enforce that. So we know we're moving in the right direction. The last thing that I want to mention, and I'll read this one myself, it states in an asterisk, masks are required to be worn in compliance with the mask ordinances as mandated by both the city of Atlanta and the city of East Point. It is so imperative for parents that are sending kids in any public place, they need on a mask. We're in a pandemic. Just consider this an invisible virus. You don't know where it is, you don't know how you can get it, but you know it's viral. And if you don't have on a mask to protect you, it's a respiratory mask. So if you're breathing in air, and you're around a lot of people, you can not only can you get it, but then your children can bring it back home and give it to you. And they can show back up to school the very on Mondays and spread this at school. So this is, like I said at the beginning, there's a lot more that we have discussed as a task force. We will come back to share more information, but we are hoping that you understand, some things were being done. We were corralling with the businesses in that area to ask them to do more, to do something. This is what became of that. The councilwomen really worked with the business owners, I would say, to get them together to come up with the policy, because that's just not something that is easy for the average citizen to do. So this will hopefully begin to look like Arbor Place Mall, where if you decide to drop your child off, you're going to be advised to come back and pick your child up, especially if it's after this curfew. That's what we are working towards. And we will hopefully be able to come back relatively soon, as far as what that looks like in more detail. So this particular policy that belongs to these business owners, when would you say this will actually become into effect? Just a hypothetical.
A hypothetical for us right now is this week, but we are taking into account the fact that a messaging campaign is instrumental. We have to be fair in giving proper and timely notice for folks
Hmm.
to adhere to it and to be advised. We do anticipate sign placement because that's imperative in terms of notification, but also our whole media and radio campaign. And we also, as you mentioned earlier, anticipate providing correspondence to our local school systems. We have both APS and Fulton County School board members who are a part of our coalition or our task force. So we are trying to make sure this is captured on every end possible so that there is no excuse in the messaging, that we are completely comprehensive with that effort to get the word out, and that this policy will be strictly enforced. We want to be clear about that. We are only doing this to promote the safety and well-being and to protect this particular shopping district. As you well know, this is a regional district. People come from far and near to shop here, and we don't want to compromise or jeopardize that experience. So that's what this is all about. We anticipate this being a positive. We look forward to not having to punish youth and have them sitting at a police station. We are hoping that parents and guardians and those who take care of our youth will just think long and hard about where your kids are at night. I know for me as a parent, my son is 20 now. He could not be at the marketplace and he lives in this district. He could not be there. Not my child.
Yep.
So that's a parenting choice that I made. But I would hope that more people would just lend into it, think about it. I know what it's like to be a teenager and want to go out and hang out and have fun. We're not trying to obstruct that, but we must put some parameters in place when safety has been compromised. And we are in a place right now where our youth have been in some situations that are jeopardizing their safety. We've got to do something.
Absolutely. And like you said, our son, Noah, he's the only school age child that we have in our home. He has been at home virtually for the last year, and I must say he's probably driven him crazy. He hasn't, been able to go to school, but we have expressed the importance it is to protect him from this invisible virus. We have tried to give him other avenues and outlets for activities to do. And so it is not the city's job to find something for everyone's children to do during a pandemic. You know what, to me, the best thing for children to do during a pandemic is to stay home and spend time with your parents. This is the best time to do that. Play Monopoly, play some board games, watch a lot of movies together. Listen, I know it's hard. We have been doing it ourselves, but if it was a different time and we weren't in a pandemic, I'm pretty sure we could maybe have a discussion about finding something for the youth to do. But now the pure ownership is on the parents, it's on the guardians, it's on anyone that has children, especially these young kids that I saw last night. I was thinking, and some of them didn't even have on coats. It was 43 degrees outside. Um, so we must, help them reel this in. If this policy will not only help them protect them, but it's going to help protect us and everyone else that these kids may come in contact with while we're in a pandemic. We are still in it. You may not be able to see it, but it is out there. It is real. I know a lot of people who have unfortunately lost their lives. They're in hospitals right now, and we have to take this more seriously. And it begins with campaigns or initiatives like this. So here's what I'm going to ask everyone who's watching this to do: spread the word. Your children must be picked up. First, let me back up. Your children need to be with you. If they are under the age of 18, they need to be accompanied by an adult at the Camp Creek businesses. I hope you all understand that. They need to be accompanied by an adult. after 7 p.m. And I would say this is something that you want to make sure that you let everyone know. So this video, I'm going to see if I can actually share this on Nextdoor, just so that we can, leverage where the messaging could be going and can reach, because it needs to reach every household that we possibly can reach. And that is what we have witnessed for the past years is over. There is now a policy in place that states visitors under 18 are required to be accompanied by a parent, legal guardian, or supervising adult effective at 7 p.m. daily. This is the private property owner's policy. Okay? So go ahead and let everyone know now. Let your children know. As a matter of fact, send out a text. This would be the perfect time to send out a group text. I know we don't like them, but this is a good time to send out those text messages and say, hey, just want to let you know there is a new policy in place. And I can tell you from what I'm hearing from our new sheriff, they will not be playing. They will not be playing about this. You want to take this serious. We are taking it serious. And I'll say this, the task force is working on some other things that we hope to be able to announce at a later time. This is, I think I mentioned on our task force meeting, I look at this as, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. There's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, and there's a lot of different avenues that we can reach. Like, we really need to teach our children how to use social media components like Zoom during a pandemic. Some of them don't know what to do during the pandemic. And if we as parents if we don't know what to tell them to do during a pandemic, then maybe there are some things that we can come up with to teach them how to operate and function. There are plenty of things they can do during the pandemic and still be social. So there's some other things that we're working on, not to kind of spill over into that right now, but just wanted you all to know this first. First, the policy has to be in place, then enforcement, and then we can talk about some other ways we can reach our youth to help them understand the importance of how to flow and operate during a pandemic, and be safe, and also at the same time find ways to be social. So do you have any final words for us, Councilwoman Gordon?
I again want to simply thank you for your um, insistence upon being a true advocate for our community, and we appreciate that, because that passion has led to this, and we thank you again for this, even tonight, allowing us an opportunity to provide somewhat of a response to, I know, a lot of concerns that overnight have occurred. We know, we hear you, we see you all over social media. Bear with us continually. We are putting forth action, and I thank you again, Ms. Jordan.
All right. Well, thank you for giving some insight and update about this policy. And I'm sure as the days are progressing, you'll be able to share more information about this. And I'll be able to share more information with everyone in Safer Communities in South Fulton. And again, thank you for your willingness. What's amazing about my councilwoman is we we actually talk at all kinds of times throughout the day, and I want you all to know how passionate they are. She and Marcy Overstreet. I talked to Councilwoman Gordon, and it's ironic, we were both thinking about this on a Saturday together, about different ideas and ways there can be impactive change. And I want you all to know that these are the type people you should be putting in office and electing. People that care about the community, have a listening ear, and who offer suggestions and want to provide impactive change. They are policymakers. Elected officials are policy makers. And this right here, I'm so proud to see this come to fruition. because, as I stated, we have been. I've really been asking, can we do something together? Can we get everyone on the same page? We even went down to the state capitol, and this it has actually evolved into this. So don't ever think that things change and happen overnight, but they do change when everyone began and becomes on the same page. So, with that being said, I can't thank you enough. I'm sure we'll be chatting more this week so that I can bring back some more updates and information to everyone. But this is a call to action for all of you. Please put the word out that there is a new policy. And if you want more information about that new policy, just play this back, type up a quick text message, send it out, let your students know or let your kids know. Tell them to let their friends know so that they can let their parents know that this policy will be strictly enforced. And it is very needed and necessary. And the business owners did this in mind, you all, to keep not only the kids safe, but to keep everyone safe that comes into contact with any business and or who's just simply trying to maybe buy some food to eat at the Camp Creek businesses. So we know that you're looking for a little more information, so just stay tuned. We will be back at a later time. We can have Councilwoman Marcy Overstreet join us, and maybe perhaps we can have someone from the law enforcement departments join us as well. I think it would be important for you all to hear from them. But just know that change is coming.
Yes.
And I can't thank you all enough. Thank you for joining us. This is going to be brief, and we'll be back. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.